I think in some quarters, Joe Biden might be a punchline. In other quarters, people view him as sort of this avuncular uncle type that you like, but you're not sure you want him in charge of the country. But a sitting vice president with his eye on the top prize can never be discounted.
And we're back with our panel. George Will, is it Uncle Joe? Is it a national punchline? Or is it a serious presidential contender?
Well, he's serious to the extent that people might say we detest inevitability, therefore we detest the pretense of the Hillary Clinton campaign. Her husband ran promising a bridge to the 21st century. She's promising a bridge to the 1990s. I don't think people usually vote that way. But listen to him. He gives that speech in Detroit, I guess it was, and he says, it's time to take back America. From whom? From the rascals who've been running it for 6 years, of whom he is a part. We all have our favorite Bidenisms. My favorite is when he said, in 1929, when the stock market crashed, President Roosevelt went on television. There was no President Roosevelt, there was no television. Now people say, well, that's just Joe being authentic. The question is, he's authentically what? If he knows nothing whatsoever about American history, what kind of history would he make?
Juan Williams, I want to play this clip from The View. This was in February, the vice president talking about his credentials.
My knowledge of foreign policy, my engagement with world leaders, my experience is uniquely positions me to follow through on the agenda Barack and I have of bringing up world peace in a way that is real and substantive.
Oops, a few months later, world peace not quite breaking out there, Juan.
No, I wouldn't put that all at Joe Biden's door, though.
But it's hard for him to separate from the president.
It's very hard to separate from the president. That's an issue for him. But remember, two things. One is, we talk about Hillary fatigue. It's not showing up in the polls vis-a-vis Biden. Second thing to say is Biden really is quite the charmer. I don't know if you've been in a room, seen him give a speech. He really gets people going. They like Uncle Joe a lot. So a lot of potential there. And the final quick point, today, you know, when he was talking about how the economy's going good, Wall Street's going good, unemployment down, corporate profits up, durable goods purchased at a higher rate, he's making a strong case for the Democrats and for Joe Biden.
Charles, I have 5 seconds for you. No, I'm sorry. That's an inside joke. We're trying to get you to be short. I'm joking. What do you think about Uncle Joe?
Well, I mean, you can talk about how great the economy is, how great the world is, but his own Secretary of Defense is telling us that the world is exploding all over. When he talked about world peace, I thought he was a Miss America contestant answering her fondest wish question. Look, one of your commentators said in some quarters Biden is a punchline. In all quarters he's a punchline. He's the genial uncle. He is not a serious presidential candidate. And to be serious about his achievements, he was the guy in charge in Iraq after the 2010 election of getting a moderate government, which had won the most votes, the Ayat Alawi party, ecumenical one. It was his job, his one job, he failed utterly. George, he doesn't have a good record.
And Charles can jump in on this as well, though. I want to push you on the fact that Joe Biden takes a lot of heat for Iraq. But remember, several years ago, he was the one who talked about partitioning Iraq into 3 pieces. And from left to right, everyone laughed at him. And you know what? That's actually starting to happen on its own.
That's right. No, the law of averages caught up with him.
You think that's all it is, Charles?
And it's also because of the failure of this administration of not concluding an agreement. At the time he proposed splitting the government to 3, we had won the war with the surge. We had ended the Civil War, and we had a chance of a stable government. As Obama himself said, as the troops left in 2011, it was the wrong advice at the wrong time, and he has a history of doing it.
George, one more before we get to Juan.
Well, Joe Biden is, to some extent, the amiable uncle in the attic. Do we want to give the amiable uncle nuclear weapons?